morning or good evening or good afternoon or wherever you are around this amazing planet of ours. Welcome to this week's or the last laser live stream of the month of, is it April? I think it's April. What am I doing? I just realized, I've been getting the months all wrong. It is April. This is the last laser live stream of April. April, we've had 3 of these. This has been pretty amazing. Every 2 weeks, we are here to talk about laser cutting in a hobbyist way. We talk about we talk about a lot of things, but we definitely talk about diode lasers, especially the love that we have of the Emblaser laser cutter, which I have sitting right here. I'm going to touch it right here. It is right on my desk. I wish I could take the camera and just turn it around, but we're going to do some stuff with the Emblaser next for the next live stream. This week, we're going to go and kind of finish off the introduction level of the Lightburn deep dive. But if this is your very first time here, let me introduce myself. My name is Gil Posnanski, and I'm really passionate about laser cutting. And we put this Lightburn. Oh, so not, well, we do Lightburn stuff, excuse me. We do these there's too many L words. Lasers, Lightburn, Livestream. It all gets mushed up in my head a little bit. But basically, I just want to welcome you to this latest laser live stream. If you haven't been here before, do me a big favor. There's 2 things you can do to help support. One is hit that thumbs up button. That helps us get this live stream out to other laser enthusiasts. And to be honest with you, on YouTube, it's all about analytics. So the more you thumbs up and make comments in the chat room, the better it is when people are looking for information about lasers, whether it is the Emblaser or maybe something about Lightburn. The other thing that you can do is, if you haven't already, you'll see a little photo of me just down in this corner. Do me a little favor, hit that subscribe button. Again, it's all about the analytics, and that helps us out. What these laser live streams are all about? I'm a little bit frazzled today, only because I literally just spent the last 4 hours with people teaching them how to use the Emblaser and Lightburn. So I had to rush back here to make sure that I didn't miss the deadline for this live stream. I'm sure there are people out there right now going, Gil, you complaining about that? Seriously? You're complaining that you got to go and work with all of that? I'm not complaining at all. I just think that some of these things in my head are just a little bit mushed up right now. So, you know what? We're all friends here. We all try to help each other out. So that's why I kind of got here, took a breath, came straight onto the live stream. And I'm kind of excited to share this information with you guys and, hear what you guys have been doing in the last 2 weeks with your laser cutters. So I just want to acknowledge that these live streams wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the support of 2 incredible companies. Well, the first one happens to be Darkly Labs. They are the home of the Emblaser range. My interest in laser cutters has really been fostered by using the Emblaser. I have an Emblaser 2. You might have an Emblaser Core and Emblaser 1. If you haven't checked them out before, there's their link, www.darklylabs.com. Definitely keep an eye on them. If you've got a laser cutter, or if you want to have a laser cutter in your home or in your workshop, you don't want to have a industrial laser where you've got to use water cooling and exhaust fans and all the rest of it, definitely check them out. They're an incredible option. The other company here that has gotten on board and supporting these streams is the Lightburn. If you ever used a laser cutter, Lightburn is the software, the most intuitive software that I know of for people to come in and actually get incredible results out of it. And in fact, I love Lightburn. I liked Lightburn even before I even did these live streams. Lightburn is probably the most intuitive software that I know of to be able to bring people from zero to creating great projects. So, you know what? I love the fact that both companies have come on board, and definitely, if you haven't been there, if you haven't seen their products or their range, you can get links just below in the description. But don't do that straight away. Come and hang out with me for the next hour. We're going to go share a little bit about what some of the people have been creating with their Emblazers, and we're also going to dive into some of Lightburn. So even if you are an expert at Lightburn or you're just beginning, you're going to have a stronger sense of what this software can do and how to actually do it. Let's jump straight across this is the part that I love even more. I want to say hello to the chat room. There they are, right there, right over there. And I see Audrey from Melbourne. She's in here. Good to see you, Audrey. I see Mike. Mike, how you doing? I hope you had a good 2 weeks. I've started seeing some of the things that you were creating. The last example, which was using some paint, some red paint on glass, I wasn't able to include it here in this one, but we'll add it into the next laser live stream after this. I love, if you are part of the Emblaser 2 users group or the Laser Lightburn Facebook group, Mike is forever testing out new ways of being able to create using different products and different materials, and he shares all of this sort of stuff. I find it extremely exciting, extremely inspiring. So it's good to see you, my friend. Hope it's going good. And looky here, Dominic, the brains behind Darkly Lab, has come in. Hi from Melbourne also. Dominic, I hope you had a great day. I tried reaching out to you earlier today, but that's okay. We were able to fix up the problem. I wasn't having a problem. I was trying to install Lightburn, and I had to get a little tricky about how to do it. So I hope you had a great day. I know you were out of the office, and I hope that whatever you were dealing with, it went smoothly. And as you can see there, Mike's saying hello to Dom, Audrey's saying hello to Mike. You know what? This is what I love about the live stream. It is very cool. And in fact, it goes straight into the intentions that I have for the live stream as well as the Facebook group, and let's just go through them. I love setting these out every single stream so everyone understands what's going on here. So my first intention with these live streams is to build a creative and interactive laser community. One of the things that I love about this technology is the idea that it came out of maker culture, that people are going out there trying things out and then sharing that knowledge. Just because you know how to do something, I mean, that's awesome, but it doesn't mean someone else doesn't know how to do it too. And I'm just a journeyman sharing what I've learned with all of you. And in a way, with the interaction, I also learn from you as well. So that's what I love. I love the fact that we can create an interactive laser community. The second intention that I have here is just to support laser users. This is a new technology, and while it's been around for a very long time, it really has only been an option for people who have been using it in, let's say, a business or manufacturing realm. Well, right now we have the ability to go and use this equipment in our homes, in our garages, in our schools. And as I said just before, check this out. It is sitting right here. Like if I were to pan the camera just a little bit, I have my laser cutter right here, and I think I showed a photo of where it sits right next to my desk on the last stream. So I love the fact that this technology is right here. When I want to get creative, when I want to test something out, I just work in Lightburn, I send it straight off to it, and I get the results straight away. The other laser cutters I've used, they've had to be in dedicated spaces. So that's why I personally like the Emblaser, and that's why I love to be able to share that. So that is my second. It's to support laser users and let them be as creative and as maker focused as possible. The third intention that I have is to share knowledge. This is really the secret of everything. When it comes to sharing knowledge, I love the fact that we're able to try new things out. As I was saying before with Mike in the chat room right there, he tries stuff out and then he comes out and he shares it with us. So maybe you want to follow with Mike's footsteps, or maybe you want to go and create something different. Maybe you get caught up in something. Maybe something didn't work out the best way possible. Not only can you ask the question here on the live stream, you can also go into the Facebook group and share what your successes as well as your failures. And together we can all rise, every laser user, whether it's using within Lightburn, the Emblaser, or any other type of laser cutter. That to me is really important. And the fourth live stream intention, why I do this, is that I want to learn from everyone, not just myself, but also from the people who come in here, whether you're watching this live, watching it on replay, watching it on Facebook. It really doesn't matter. I want everyone to have the ability to learn from one another, and together, I mean, this sounds corny, but we are stronger together than we're apart. It's that simple. And with those four intentions, we do the laser live stream every 2 weeks. Now, you might be sitting there right now and you might be like, hey, Gil, that's great, but I'm just watching you. I don't even have a a YouTube account. I don't have a Facebook account. How do I get involved? Well, you can. Let me explain that to you as well. So how do you get involved? First of all, as I was saying before, hit that subscribe button to support this project. And you know what? Don't be afraid to chat. I love the fact that people can converse. That's the difference between doing a video and doing a live stream. You guys are in there and you can, discuss what's going on. You can discuss with, might have a question. The most exciting live streams I have are the ones where I'm having conversations with people. By all means, if you're here as part of the live stream, as it's going out live, do not be afraid to chat. If you are, and that's okay too, we love the lurkers. You can also email us at laser.livestream@gmail.com. And of course, as I was saying before, we have a Facebook group, and that is www.facebook.com/groups/laser-livestream. So you've got 3 real-time ways of being able to contact either myself or the Laser Livestream team or the Emblaser group. Or Emblaser user groups, please feel free. We've had people send in videos, but they weren't too comfortable coming out on camera. That's okay. Those projects are amazing, and it's a really, really cool thing to do. Now, Mike in the chat room says there's so many things to try and explore, and I'm with you there, Mike. You know what? It's a pretty amazing thing. This piece of equipment, yeah, sure, it can cut perspex and it can do this. Lasers in general. I don't want to say. Lasers in general can cut perspex. The Emblaser can cut solid color perspex, so I'm not lying there. But you know what? There's so many other things that it can do. And you know what? Together, we're going to explore all of those things. So, you know what? That's the intentions of these live streams. By all means, if you've got questions or if there's things that you would like to explore on the live streams, feel free to shout out in the chat room, or maybe drop us an email or get in contact with the Facebook group. By all means, all those things are ways to be able to get in contact. And you know what? That's what it's all about, right? It's all about the community, and that's what I love. I actually feel very honored to be able to come and do this every week. Talking about that, what are we going to do today? Well, the last couple of live streams have been going for an hour and a half. I got a little bit of feedback, and that's okay. I just get so excited about presenting stuff that I try to cram as much in. So what we're going to do is this week we're going to go and we're not finishing off the Lightburn deep dive, but what we're going to do is I want to share with you probably the third most important area of Lightburn. So if you're a beginner or if you're trying to craft something or just hone your skills, today's live stream is going to talk about using the cuts and layers option within Lightburn. We're going to concentrate a lot on that. I tried to pare it down, but it's a lot of information, and I want to be able to empower anyone who's watching that with the skills to be able to go and explore. And next week we're actually going to go into discussing the Emblaser 2. There's been a lot of requests about setting up cameras. How do we set up our camera? Why is it a little bit out? I've tried to do the configuration file and it didn't really work out the way it is. Well, we're going to do a walkthrough on that, and we'll do that for the very next Laser live stream. But today we're going to start off the way we always start off. I'm going to look at some of the Emblaser 2 user projects. I shouldn't say the Emblaser, not the Emblaser 2. There's a number of Emblazers out there, and we're going to start in the gallery. So let's go in straight to it. And the very first one is Mike. We know Mike. Mike sometimes comes on, or maybe he'll even turn up. That's not Mike Culver, but this is a Mike DeLacy, and he makes these amazing models using his Emblaser. And right here you can see some train bodies or track bodies. I actually forgot the name of what these are, but these are pretty amazing things. He's cut all of these pieces out with the Emblaser. I believe this is H scale models. You know what? Mike always comes back and lets me know exactly whether it's correct or what I've said is correct or not. That's okay. But look at these are obviously train model pieces that have been cut out. And again, just amazing pieces of work. I have never thought about using my Emblaser to make models, but I'm getting more inspired every single time I check this out. Great job, Mike. Let us know what these pieces were for, and I believe it's H scale. It might be O scale. I'm not too sure, but I'm sure you'll let us know. The next piece is from our very own Mike Culver, who's in the chat room. He's been working with glass etching and using paint. So in this case, he's sprayed, I believe, black paint. He's just using a normal piece of glass in a frame, and then you're able to, he's been able to etch it, and then after using, I think, some methylated spirits or some sort of solvent, he's been able to take off the black and end up with this amazing, piece of glass that's etched with a message, I would believe, for his child, which says here, "You are born to fly." Again, a great experiment. I'm inspired to try and do pieces like this myself. This is just kind of amazing to see. It's kind of branding. And again, there's a lot of that sort of work out there, but just to be able to do it with pieces that you will find around your home, black spray paint, a cheap frame, just normal glass. Mike's actually saying acetone. So he's used, acetone, to me, personally, I wouldn't use acetone. It's a little bit dangerous. I'm wondering if IPA will actually do it. And given the fact that it is acetone and it hasn't taken out the black, you'll probably be able to get it done. But hey, you know what? Just make sure you're in a ventilated room, my friend. I don't want any of that to harm you. But great job. I can see people are really, really impressed with that. Audrey, Dominic, everyone's impressed with that. Mike always comes up every week. He blows me away with the work he does. I'm just going to have to come and visit you sometime so we can work together. That's pretty amazing. All right. Moving on, there was some discussions with how long you could actually run the Emblaser, and some people were putting examples, and this is from Adrian. This is a 6.5 hour etch, a dragon. It's quite large. He's actually holding it. I had to crop the photo because I couldn't get it onto the screen, but a 6.5 hour process. Very impressive, and it shows you, the Emblaser is a pretty stable machine. It might not be the fastest machine on the block, but it gets the job done, which is pretty amazing. We've also got Dan, who showed this 10-hour etch that he did, and it is pretty. It's pretty hardcore. This one, look at that. He's obviously put an image. I'm not sure what the material was, but again, 10 hours is pretty impressive, and you know what? It's very, very cool. Very cool. Now, I didn't get a chance to show the longest. I don't have an image of the longest cut I've done on my Emblaser, which happened to be 23 hours. But a friend of mine made a Ouija board, and it's a very special Ouija board. It actually moves by itself and not by ghosts. So I'm going to ask him for an image, and then I'm going to be able to see whether or not we can actually show that next week. But we did a 23-hour etch on the Emblaser onto some, I believe it was pine board. It was pretty impressive. Unfortunately, I did go through my my photos on my phone. I must have deleted it. I'm sorry. The last one, also, this isn't a job, but I was really impressed with it. Mike's really, work. We've had some discussion about his lab, and as he calls it, a man cave. And Mike actually put up an IP camera that he had lying around. You can see it was just a board, and on the right-hand side, you've got the camera mounted, and on the left-hand side, you have the image. So now that Mike can actually run his laser cutter and be elsewhere in the house and keep an eye on the cutter. So if for some reason there's an ignition source or something breaks out, he at least has a heads up before the smoke detector or anything else cuts in. And a great way of being able to monitor his laser cutter, and in this case, his laser cutter is a core. Now, I'm not too sure. Mike's in the chat room, so I'm going to ask him. You don't have the camera attached to your core, do you? I don't think the core comes with a camera kit. I believe you could probably get one. But Dominic or Mike can actually tell me whether or not they come standard. I'm trying to remember. I did build a core. I'm just trying to remember. It was a long time. I didn't get to keep that one. Everyone tell Dominic to give Gil a core so he can do some tutorials with it at home. But either way, it's a really, really clever idea. I was actually wondering whether or not you could put that IP camera and actually put it inside the case to see but then again, I'm not too sure what the lens range is. So you do have a camera in the core. Okay, so you're able to actually be able to see the workspace as well. But you know what? Really, really well done. Just such a very, very cool way of being able to utilize technology, but it doesn't transmit over Wi-Fi. Ah, I see what's going on. You're right. You're right. It doesn't have enough bandwidth to do that. Maybe that's something that can be arranged. Can you actually... The E-Core comes with a camera separately. That's what I thought, Dom. That's exactly what I thought. But then again, it's so cool to have you here on the live stream. I thought I'd just ask directly. I always love it when I get a message going, what you said was wrong. But it needs a bigger wide. You looked into it, but it needs a wider lens. Well, you know what? It's something to actually be able to iterate in generations. But I like that idea. And I thought, you know what? It's inspirational for other people to kind of get that same idea. I don't have an IP camera. I should really put an IP camera on my laser cutter too. Maybe I should set a website. You can all see the projects that I cut. Maybe something we'll do in the future. So guys, that happens to be the gallery of user projects for this week. Just as always, just really, really impressive, and I just love to be able to go and see what's going on. I don't want to take up too much time because I do want to hit that 1 hour limit, or maybe just a little bit over. So we're going to jump straight into the Lightburn deep dive. This is the basically we're going through the layout, editing, and controls software for your laser cutter, and for the Emblaser too. That is Lightburn, and what we're going to look at today is the Lightburn in Lightburn Basics. Is we're going to explore the cuts and layers option. If you've used your machine in any way, shape, or form, you're familiar with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my Mac right now, and I'm going to hold my breath because sometimes this doesn't work. Let's go over and see whether or not this works, and we're going to go through the cuts and layers. Okay, so this is Lightburn Deep Dive, and we're going to be talking about cuts and layers. Okay, so we're now in Lightburn. We're going to be using this on my Mac as we do every week. And this week we're going to look at layers and cut types. So we touched on this very briefly on the first deep dive. I've just got a clear workspace here. So I'm going to grab this square, and using it, I'm just going to make one square here, and I'm going to just grab a circle. Let's make a circle here. Now, as you can see, both of them right now are black. So you can see on the color here, this one is black, this one's black. If we look down below, we see all these different colors. And it starts with a 0, which is black, which is the layer we're on right now. And it goes all the way to 29, and then we've got T1 and T2. We're not going to talk about those. They're tool layers. We touched on them briefly before, but what we're going to look at, we've got 29 or really 30 layers that we can work with. So if I highlight this circle and I actually hit this 01 blue, you can see in the cut layer over here, we now have a layer that was black and a layer that's blue. And if we actually look at that, we can see on the work area, we've got two different shapes, but they are basically, using two different colors. So we can actually change things. So let me first of all start off with the line and show you what, oh, that's interesting. Thank you so much. There we go. Now we're on line. So what this actually means is we have different modes, different cuts, and we're going to interchange from the layers. And we can make any number of layers that we want. We might want to put some text here. So we might want to say, hello world. Now that's again on the blue layer, but I want to put that on the red one. So what I can do is I can highlight this, and now it's on a separate layer by itself. I can go and move this. I can put this down here. I can resize it. I can do all the stuff that we need to do. I can use some of the tools we were using last time. So I can, what can I do here? Maybe we can align the bottom of it. So there you go. We've got it interstate. Well, no, I don't like that. So you know what? I might just move that over here again. So maybe we're building up a logo for someone. We've got the hello world. We can work with that. We can apply anything that we want on the actual workspace, and that's not going to be a problem at all. What we're going to look at, as I said, was we're going to change the way the laser actually interprets with these different shapes and these different layers. So the first thing I want to show you up here is that we've got the line, the modes. So we've got line, we've got fill and line, and we've got offset fill. And what's that mean? So let's go and take a look at that. First of all, we're going to talk about the line, and line is exactly what it is. If you want to go and cut something out on your laser, you want your laser to be able to kind of, cut it around a line or a path. That's what line means. And if we go into the preview here, you can see I'm actually going to do this a little bit differently. If that's okay with you guys, I'm going to turn the outputs of the other two layers off. So check, what does that mean? You can see here they've got a little output, and I've turned those off. When I come into the preview, it's only showing the line. So I don't know why it said invert, but if we play that, you can see the functionality with line is exactly that. It cuts around that line and that shape is cut out. Now, if I turned on the output of the circle and come back, you can see, and I'll scrub through it this time, you can see exactly the same thing. Just to show for completion's sake, if we turn on the letters as well, we actually have the whole pathway. So the first one is the square, then the circle, and then the words. We can change that up by changing the order of the layers. So if I wanted to click the words on first, let's go back here. Let's take a look. We are now cutting the words, letters out first, and then the square, and then the circle. Same thing as we can do. We can move that one down there. So now we are going to have the square first, then the letters, and then the circles. And why this is important is, depending on what you're actually going to do, you may want to engrave something first and then cut the part out. Well, if you cut the part out and it's free, it falls freely in the machine, and then you want to engrave it, you might not get exactly the right spacing. But if you engrave it first and then cut it out, you're able to do that. So again, you can see right so far we can turn off certain layers and we can move them around in a cut order. So I'm going to move that back to the order that it was originally in. So it's 0, 1, and 2. And I'm going to turn off layers 2 and 1 so we can actually play with the different modes here. So as I was saying to you guys before, this is the examples I just showed you are all using the line function. So we're cutting that out. So that's line. What does fill mean, Gil? What's fill? So let's go and take a look at that. And in this case, fill is exactly that. It takes that shape and it scans across that the shape back and forth, filling it with, it's almost like an engrave. So you're able to do that and engrave a shape or letters onto a material. A lot of people use fill to engrave onto a piece of material. So that, and you can see here, that's a 10-minute process going through it. So that is fill. The next one is fill and line. And what that means is it does both the fill process and then cuts the piece out. So if we go to the preview, sorry guys, if we go to the preview here, you'll see that nothing's really changed except for that last line, which, if we go right up to the end, and I'm just going to play it here, you can see it's bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you'll see as it gets to the last one, it's going to trace itself around that shape. And if we were doing this on a piece of material, it would engrave that and then copy it around to actually cut that piece out. The last one is called fill offset. And on this setting, you'll actually see, you'll go, well, that's no real difference except for the fact that it starts in the middle and then traces its way out. So check this out. You can see here's the square being built up from the inside, and it's running around from the inside and actually kind of expanding itself out, which is another process that you may want to use in certain situations. So they are the 4 different modes, and I'm just going to you can see here, so I'm just going to scroll it so you can see it's growing in real time. That's exactly what happens. So these are the 4 kind of modes that you can pick from the from the cuts and the layers window, but you can actually get a lot more refinement, and you can actually do that quite easily by going in and double clicking any of these layers, and you've got now the pop-up box, which gives you a lot more controls. Now from this pop-up box or the cut settings editor, you can actually pick any layer you want and actually be able to deal with it. So you can see here that we have the output, and that toggle is right here, is on. But if I go to layer 1, which is this one here, you can see the output is off. But if I turn it on and save it, it changes it here too. So even though I didn't go into there, I can select those layers in the cut settings editor anytime I want. So I'm going to just quickly, I'm going to hit that output again. I'm gonna cancel it, and then just so that I know that what I'm working with, and I don't go, oh, I forgot all about that. So what do we got here? This is a way for you to have to kind of dial in the controls and of your laser cutter. And this first menu right here, where it says name, speed, max power, and mode, are probably the things that you're going to use the most. So when it comes to the name layer, I don't really worry about that too much. Obviously, the Lightburn has named it C14. But the real critical thing here is speed. So this 200 and max power. And what does this mean? So when it comes to speed, that's how far your laser head travels within the machine. So at this point, we've got it dialed into 200 mils per minute. That's the speed. And why that's important is that the slower you go, the more power is transmitted into the material to cut. So if you're cutting a piece of material, or if you're engraving a piece of material, if you slow the machine down, it will cut or engrave deeper. It'll burn more material off, and that energy is transmitted to the machine. But if you go faster, you may get a lighter cut or a lighter engrave. So if you're working on a piece of material such as a piece of wood, maybe a piece of plywood, and you've been noticing that the edges are all scorched, one of the ways that you may want to work on trying to dial in the settings not to scorch the wood would be to actually increase this speed a little bit, so that the power from the laser isn't going all the way through. Or the other thing that you might want to do in a situation like that is you may want to dial down the power. So right now we have it at 1,000. That is absolutely that's kind of like on completely. The laser can't go any harder than it is, but you may want to dial it down to 75% or 60%. Right, and maybe increase the speed sorry, not increase it, but decrease it. So instead of 200, I might want to go to 150 and see what's going on there. There is a proportion between the speed and the max power. Now, normally I don't change both of these things. I just did this simply as a test. A lot of people leave the power to maximum, and then they change the speed and either work faster or lower. So if I wanted to potentially, let's say at 200, I'm getting scorch marks at 100%, and I want to see if I can kind of minimize it, but I still want to get kind of the same result, I might go to 250 or 300 and not 3,000, 300, and just do a quick test to see what that result is on a piece of scrap wood. So that's these two things, speed and max power, are absolutely critical to getting the best result out of your machine. You also have air assist. Now on the Emblaser, they actually have air assist. We can turn that on and off, and what that does is that will actually in the Emblaser, there's a little pump that forces a little bit of air out of the nozzle on the laser unit, and that just constantly puts a little bit of pressure. So if there's any kind of flame up or if there's some debris, it just blows it out there. It's kind of like a positive pressure thing. It's not, there's no harm in leaving the air assist on all the time that you use it. It's not going to do any damage. If you're cutting, let's say, paper, all it'll do is blow that piece of paper once it's detached from the main bulk that you're cutting. It'll just blow it out of the way. I use my air assist all the time. What I like about it is, should there be an ignition for any reason, maybe I've messed up the speed, maybe I've put too much power, you will have no problem with that at all. And a lot of people also find that it creates a much cleaner cut. So the material doesn't heat up or there's no little bits of debris that gets caught up because the air assist helps. So I like to use it a lot. The next command down here is line, and again, there's our 4 options right here. So we're going to leave that on line, and then below this you've got these common settings. So you remember we were talking about maybe you want to dial down your power here, or maybe you want to change your speed. Maybe you've done that and you've run the machine and it hasn't cut through a piece of ply, or it hasn't, you've got a piece of material that might be a little fibrous and you might need another pass. Well, this is where you can actually dial in how many times the laser does the action. So number of passes is the complete action. going around the path. So you can increase basically the cuts or the engraves as many times as you want. You've also got a Z axis, and this is the amount of offset the Z axis has to the material. So that's really good for like if your material is too big and it might be slightly out of focus for the optimum place of the laser. And I'm going to show that to you guys in another laser live stream where that focus is. You might use the Z offset, and of course below that, or maybe you have a deep cut or a deep engrave you want to do. So you can actually use the Z offset to actually help with that. You've then got the Z step per pass. I don't touch any of that, and the kerf offset. The laser's really fine, so you don't have to worry about the kerf offset at all. Then you've got your perforation mode, which is kind of interesting. When you click that on, it gives you a chance to change that. I don't really use perforation mode at all, but basically all you're doing is you're going to perforate a piece of material, maybe cardboard or something like that, so you can fold it up. It kind of works in an interesting way. I actually haven't used that too much, but you can see here when you've got that on, it tells you when, how far. Every mill, it's going to do a cut, and then it's going to skip, and then a cut and a skip, and a cut and a skip. So if you remember those kind of punch-out books or building a paper model, perforation mode kind of does that. It cuts for a small, amount of distance. So in this case, it's 1 mil, or it could be 2 mil, or you can set it whatever you want to do. And then you can also get the laser to skip. So the laser is just going to be on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off as you perforate whatever it is, that pathway. And again, that's really cool on a layer. So maybe you want to cut something out, but you want to perforate it at the same time. You can make multiple layers to actually do that. Let's turn that off. Then you've got bridges and tabs. And this is something that's really new to Lightburn. It's only been around for a couple of generations. So the idea here is to actually put tabs in the cut. So what you can actually do in this case is actually put these tabs in. It's a little bit like the function here. I don't use this personally, and you can see here it's the same thing. It shows you the tab size. You can do it automatic, so it'll work out the shape and then put the tabs in, or you can do it manually, and that allows you to put even spacing tabs per cut. How many tabs do you want, so that when you finish you can actually just pick up the piece and the whole material and then just kind of punch it out with your thumb. So it's kind of interesting. This function also is very similar to, I think, this function here. Let's see if it'll pop up if I put it on there. Add tabs. So we can add a tab as well in here. He says so. There's one tab and there's another tab, and then we can actually use this to either generate them automatically or put them in manually. So that's kind of, I think that's kind of interesting. Now, the interesting part about this cuts editor as well is the fact that if you go to the mode and you change it, so we're going to go to fill now, you can see this is completely changed here. Completely changed. We're going to talk about the common. Let me go back to line really quickly. Sorry. Let's go to line. You can see there's some advanced settings. I don't go into these at all. These are like pausing times, overcut, adding lead in and out for the laser. That's fine-tuning stuff. You've got those options on all of these things, but we're just going to talk about the common ones here. And in the fill, which is going to be very similar to the fill and line and then the offset fill as well, what I'm going to show you right now is that you can see here there's a little graphic that shows when the laser goes this way, it operates, and then when it goes this way, it operates. Well, if you hit that little bidirectional fill, this means is as the laser's going this way from left to right, it burns or it operates, and then when it goes backwards, it doesn't, and then it burns again. And this actually can increase time. But it's something worthwhile knowing. Maybe you've got a material that reacts or you needs to cool down. I'm not too sure what you would actually use bidirectional fill off for. I always use it on. I haven't had a problem since, but it does give you that option. Now, you have another little tab here called crosshatch, and when you turn that on, this is kind of interesting. I'll just show you really quickly what this does in the preview. It not only runs back and forth, but it'll actually, can you see that it's actually running that little, if I play it here, can you see the little cross is going up and down? So not only has it done a left and right, but it's now scanning the design both horizontally as well as vertically. So it's going up and down as well as left to right. So that's the option within the cut setting editor with crosshatch. And you can see that here, it's actually also given us those arrows. So I'm going to click that off again and those arrows disappear. We've got overscan, so you can turn overscan on, and what overscan does is we can say, you know what, we're going to do a 5% overscan, and again, I believe we can see this in, oh, actually, it's not going to show me that here, which is a bit of a shame, but what overscan does in this case is that when the laser is going from left to right, it'll actually go 5% or 0.17 mil over the area, and then when it comes back, it'll do it on both sides and then just turn the laser on, so you get a very, very crisp kind of line. So if there's any movement for whatever reason, maybe the graphic is a little bit complex, you get a better result using overscan. So in this case, you know, you can absolutely use it. Turn it off. You got line intervals, that's 1 mil, line per inch. I leave these settings standard. Scan angle is something that's interesting as well. As you can see, the scan, as I showed you in the preview, is going left to right. Well, I can change the angle. So let's say 20%. Let's go back to the result here, and you can see here now that it starts on that 20% angle. So if you're doing, let's say, images, if you're scanning an image, and we'll take a look at images before we finish this deep dive today, you can see that by putting changing the angle a little bit, it gives it gets rid of some of the lines that can be generated with the image, and it comes out and looks kind of like it looks like a bad 3D, not 3D print, but like a paper print out of an inkjet printer. You don't want that. So you can actually change the scan angle, and it doesn't have to be a lot. 10% can actually make a lot of a difference, but you can go all the way. You can actually make this horizontal if you wanted to, and then right around. So you can do 360 from what I remember, 180 of course. 360 is a little bit the other way, but what you can go all the way 180, either positive or negative. Then you got the number of passes you want. So maybe you want to do 2 passes on it. So you want to define that area in the fill crisply, make it all crisp. Then you've got the Z offset, as we were talking about before, and the Z offsets. Now, remember last time we were talking about like doing shapes either together or as a group or individually? Well, those settings are right here as well. So you're able to go into there and be able to make any of the changes. Once you've done some changes, so let's say I've done this, I've done the scan angle, maybe I've even changed the line interval a little bit. Well, if you want to reset it, there's a reset to default, and there you go. We've got it actually went all the way down to line, but there you go. We've got that clear common settings again, so we can begin, which isn't a problem. We've also got line and offset. This is pretty much the same as fill. You can see all of these things here. They've got an advanced, but they've got a line after fill. And I'm going to show this to you guys as well, because this looks very, very much like the fill command. So of course you've got your fill, and then you're going to cut your line so you can change the speed, you can change the max power. The error assist isn't in here, but number of passes, Z offset, Z steps. Now in this case, it's also got the kerf offset and the overcut as well. So this is a simplified version of the line settings in that mode, but again, it allows you to be able to dial that in. So if you're using a piece of material that needs maybe more than 1 pass, or you need to adjust the speed and the max power of the laser, in this case, it's 20. I don't want 20. I want it to be 100. And I want the max speed to go all the way down to 300. So now when we run the job, it will use those settings to cut the material out, the piece out of the material. So if I'm using maybe solid perspex, or maybe a piece of wood or MDF or something like that, I can actually go and use that without too much of a problem. Now, the last one, as I said to you before, is the offset fill. And you can see here, this is the movement of the laser head, right? So it starts in the middle and it starts going out. So it's kind of interesting because bidirectional fill doesn't really work because we're going from the center outwards. Crosshatch doesn't work either. Overscanning doesn't work because we're not able to move the head, out. It starts in one point and then continues the job, but we can change the line intervals or the lines per inch. Again, standard. I don't bother touching any of that sort of stuff, but what I will do sometimes is the number of passes. I'll change that up. And again, of course, I've got access to the speed and the max power. So if I can take a look at this and go, okay, you know what, that's not going to work for me. I need to change that. I've got that as in there as well. So those are kind of like that is the mode functionality for Lightburn. Those 4 things are going to get all your jobs done. Now, why am I discussing this with you here and right now? Is because a lot of the library settings that you will find in Lightburn for material, they are all about speed, max power, and maybe one of these settings. So if you understand how to do this on your own, or you understand at least what's going on, what will happen if I change speed, what happens if I change power, you're actually able to go into some of those settings and fine tune them and actually save your own library, which, to be honest with you, is going to save you a heap of time, because once you've got a piece of material that you're using and it's fine-tuned, you can just come back in here and be able to go into one of these things. Like, I use a foam sheet. I go in, it's 1 mil. There's my line setting. I'm going to assign it to that layer. So here we go. We're going to assign it to this layer. And you can see it's already done it. So these are the settings. I go in here and I know that in one pass, using the speed at 1,000 and max power, I'm going to be able to cut through 1 mil EVA foam without a problem. So when I design something in here, I'm able to do so, and I'm able to move really, really quickly, then send it to the machine. Of course, remembering to turn on all the outputs. If I was going to cut this out of foam, though, I would need to highlight. Actually, I need to assign it. So you can see here, I'm going to assign to layer as well. Come on, let's do it. No, there you go. Just had to double click it, and you can see all the settings are here as well. Now, there's 2 other things that I want to show you. The air assist is also in here, so I can turn the air assist on for all of these. If I was cutting foam, I wouldn't do it, but I also want to show you this one. This is the show. So the show allows you to actually make layers disappear. So, I've done this before where I'm working on something and I turn off, let's say, showing it because I want to concentrate on something else, and I might have like this one and this one, and I go, okay, cool. I want to cut these, and I'll go and I'll quickly, turn the machine on, and what I don't realize is those letters, while they're not showing up on the workboard, on the work area, they are still active on the input. So just because you can't see them, don't think that that's not what's going on here. Same thing if I were to do this and I go, okay, cool, this is the placement that I want my words on. Now, this is why I always say to people, always preview, because previewing it and just grabbing that and just scrolling through goes, cool, I see what's going on. Let me go and turn off the inputs as well, and then I go back here and I go, cool, I got it. I got exactly what's going on there. So there we go. We've got a last mode, and this is a mode we can't choose. So here's my image. Let me get my work plane back in. No, it's, yeah, okay, we're good. So here's my image. I can move it around. I can center it. This is the deep dive into Lightburn, the live stream, a couple of live streams back that we were doing. I forgot about this one because this isn't a mode that you can select. If you bring in an image, whether it's JPEG and OBG, not OBG, any of those images that you can import, and if you go into import, it'll show you what they are. Let's go and see. So here's all the image files, the vector files, and all the files that are supported. If you actually bring any of these things in, so AIs, PDFs, SC, DXF, HP, GL, I don't even know what that is, PLT, RD, Scorp2, SVG, Scalable Vector Graphic, Lightburn Image, Lightburn 2 Image, Bitmap, GIF, PNG, GIF, TIFF, and a Targa. You've got no problem. They all come in, but when you do that, it automatically defines them as an image. And if you double check here, this is the last part that I wanted to show you, is that it's also on an image layer, which is not a problem, but you can see here, just like the fill, it gives you very similar stuff. So you've got your output, your air assist, and again, your speed, both you've got your speed of the movement of the laser, then you've got your max power, and then something else here interesting here is it has minimal power. So depending on what the settings are in here, I think you're able to there you go. So if I do this as a grayscale, I can say to Lightburn, you know what? I know that the minimum power, let's say at 20%, right? Anything below 20% is, is going to, it's not going to make a difference, right? So if I'm going to use a grayscale image and I'm going to use that to, let's say, engrave an image onto some material, I may say to them between 20 and 100 is the range that I want you to use. But if you're going to go below 20, there's not going to be a difference, so don't use that. Use that as a hard kind of out. If you guys are interested in this sort of stuff, I will show you in another live stream how you can actually use an image to work out what the max and min powers are. But unfortunately, today we're not going to be able to do that, but I did want to show it to you. Of course, minimum power does gray itself out depending on different options, the image modes. And I'm just going to leave that on Jarvis right now. So we've got the mode, it's an image, speed is overrides the air assist. No, we're not going to be doing that. Let's see. We turn that on. Air speed. So there you go. Air assist speed doesn't really work. I don't know that it works, but I don't believe we can actually vary the speed of the air assist on the Emblaser. I might be wrong. Maybe. Ooh, let's see if someone from Darkly's in the stream right now, maybe they can answer it for me. Now we've also got overscan. So overscan is something that you can use. Now you've got bi-directional scanning. So we've talked about that before. This is a new one. This is called negative image. And what you can do is, in this case, I'm going to show you on the preview what this means. So when we preview it, it turns all the dark things white, and all the other basically it's just a negative image, and that's kind of cool. Depending if you're doing a tile and you've sprayed the tile black, and you've got a white tile, and you want everything that's touched to be white in different degrees of white, you may want to use negative image in this case. Just to show you guys, if you hit negative off again, hit OK, do a preview, and you see it's basically a normal image for what it's going to be. That's almost a 4-hour job right there. I've done those jobs many times. So again, negative image, if you need to have the reverse, you can actually do that. So it's useful for engraving on acrylic mirrors and dark surfaces. There you go, perfect. You've got the overscan, as I was saying, so you can overscan it in this case. You can actually take it off the material and then come back. That just means that the machine is ramping at the right time when it's actually burning, so you don't have any fluctuations. You've got line intervals. Again, the scan angle, you can change that if you want, but it's by default, it's at 10 degrees, which is kind of cool. Actually, I think it's 10 degrees because we had it before last time, so we're just going to do it at 0. Actually, let's go reset. Yes, there you go. That's my fault. I changed that. So you can see the overscan here. Offset. Now, image mode. This is kind of interesting. If you go down here and you take a look, this is threshold, and this is a simple, and it says right here, threshold, simple black and white image used for outlines or image dithering outside of Lightburn. It's interesting. Well, next one is ordered, and that's good for cartoons or simple unshaded images. Good shading, but visible patterns. We've got Atkinson, which is good in-between mode for solid color or smoothing shaded images. We've got dither. So dither is Floyd Steinberg diffusion dithering. I don't know who Floyd Steinberg is, but thank you. Good choice for smooth shading or photo images. So if you're doing photos, we've got Stucky as well, which is high quality dithering, slightly faster than Jarvis, a good choice of smooth shading and photo images. Then we got Jarvis, which is high quality dithering. I do a lot of my stuff with Jarvis. Usually the best choice for smooth shading or photo images. Newsprint, which emulates newsprint halftone, good shading but visibly patterned. Good for higher DPI settings or smoothie controllers. So if you're using a smoothie controller, you can use that. We've also got halftone, which is good quality shading for high DPI. So that's dots per inch images, like newsprint, but with a varied cell size. And you can see here, there's the example of that. We've got sketch, which is useful for line drawings or handwriting. Tries to detect the edges on that. I haven't played with the sketch. I want to try that. And then we've got grayscale, which is really designed for CO2 lasers. So it kind of varies the depth, but it doesn't shade. With a diode, it can give great shading, but it's harder to use than dithering. So again, this is something that you can use on a Emblaser. It's just up to you on what you want to use it. I usually set my stuff to Jarvis, but that's just me. Again, we got the cells per inch. All the stuff that's grayed out is because of the mode setting. And again, how many passes? I want 2 passes with this sort of stuff. And of course, then you also have your fill, all shapes at once, filter group, and individual. Fill shapes individually. So again, this mode, if I come in here, it doesn't give me any options to change the mode like we did with, let's say, if I go and put a square here. And I'm going to just change. So in here, I can drop down any of those things. Quite often, people will go, "Hey, I want a shape," and I'm going to go and let me just turn that on. I want a shape. I'm going to bring it in, and then they bring it as an image, and they forget to trace it. And if it's not traced, it's not aligned. You can't change those things. So maybe it's like, I want this shape, but I want it cut out. But it's a drawing. We're going to talk about tracing a little bit later in further along in the live stream, but I wanted to share with you this function because this really wraps up. This is, in here we've got basically 4 functions that you can choose from, but the image, that image is kind of the locked in 5th function. Let me get rid of that. And that is pertaining to any images that you bring in and that you want to engrave into a piece of material, whether it's a tile, whether it's maybe a piece of plastic, any of that sort of stuff, you can then bring in those images. So that's it, guys. That is basically the modes for cuts, and we did touch on the layers today. So there you go. You've got a whole bunch of, functionality within that. The only thing that I want to talk to you guys about is there's some default settings here. So if I wanted to, let's say, grab that again, and I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to do this as the foam sheet, which I was doing before. So let's open that up. Let's open it up again. Come on. I'm going to do that as a line. I'm going to assign it to here. Yes, thank you so much. So you can see here, as I'm actually changing the different layers, you can see the numbers here are changing. So this is 6,000, but at 20, this is 1,000 at 100. So again, you can, instead of having to double click and go into here and changing all of that, you can actually come in here and start changing things like pass count and all the rest of it. Now, the other thing that is only here, as opposed to in the actual kind of cut setting editor, which is really important, is the support and the material length. So when you've got a piece of material and you're going to put it in there, you're going to measure it with some calipers or with a ruler. I suggest a caliper. If it works out that the material is 3 mil, then you want to put a 3 in there so that that Lightburn knows where to set the laser head. If you want it to be, if it's 6, then you want to do a 6. Maybe it happens to be 5.5. That just, it kind of allows the Lightburn to work out the optimal height for the laser so that it is in focus, so you get the best result. I see a lot of people forgetting to set the material height. In this case, because we set this one as a 1 mil sheet of foam, you can see the material is 1. The other one to be sure of is that if you're using the mats that come with the Emblaser, those rubber mats, they are 10 mil, but you may want to use a mag clip, or you may want to rise a piece of material up higher. You want to put that height into the support. So it's the support and the material size that actually works out the optimal height that the laser needs to be to actually go and get set the laser so you get a job that actually does exactly what you need. And I don't know how many times I have seen people, new users who will go, the support, they'll leave the support, but they'll be cutting through a piece of material that's, let's say, 3 mil, but they've got it set at 6. And then they'll go, this is the real trick. Oh, it didn't cut. I'm just going to make the pass. I'll do another pass. Oh, that didn't cut. I'll do another pass. I'll do another pass. I'll do another pass. I'll do another pass. And what ends up happening is they do cut through the material, but the focal length is much lower. So they'll start burning some of the rubber mats and melting them down and go, well, I don't understand. The material didn't cut. and I damaged my machine. Why is that? And that's all got to do with the settings. It should actually, if it was a 6 mil, usually it's not the material, but it's actually the support height. So, you know, somewhere along the line, they put in a 5 and not understood that support needs to be at a normal thing. So that it's a lot lower, and then the focal range or the focus of the laser is actually through the material and into the support. So I've seen that actually happen a number of times. So just be aware of it. Keep support, if you're using the mats, it's no problem. Just keep them in there. And of course, that's all set up anyway. So if I wanted to go to felt, and this is a 2.5, and check this out. This is kind of cool. Check these numbers out here when I assign this to the layer, he says, which is, whoa, hang on a second. Why is this not doing it? Felt 6. No. So here we go. Let's try this again. Line. No, it doesn't like it. Oh, you know why? I'm so stupid. Of course it's not going to do it. Why? I'm telling it to cut a line. So I'm here in the felt going, cut a line, cut a line. That's an image. Oh my gosh. I caught it. Now let's go to the image. It says assign to layer. Right? If I do a line, of course it's not, because the mode is only locked into image. Oh, you see, sometimes even the guy presenting the live stream gets caught up. So let's go assign to layer, check these things out. I'm going to change this again. Oh, that was so silly, Gil. I'm going to say 3. Well, that's not going to change. Actually, that's never going to change. So let's leave that as 10. But you see it has 0. Assign to layer. Image. Let's do that. Right? And you see that? It changed the material support because we know that's a 1 mil. Let's go to image, assign to layer, and we'll click the layer. Right? There you go. 5 mil. Let's see if we can do this on the 3 mil without it actually popping up. Let's just do 1 click. Nope. Let's do another layer. There you go. For some reason, right now, it's asking me to do 2 clicks. I haven't done that before. Anyway, look, guys, there you go. If you're going to use an image, you can only pick the image out of the library. We're going to go through the library next time. And I just wanted to share that with you guys so you know exactly what to do with cuts and layers in Lightburn. All right, let's jump back. If you guys got any questions, we'll bring them up. And if we need to answer them, we will do so. I hope you got something out of it. And I'll catch you guys right now back in the live stream. Wow. Hold on a second. Whew. That was a lot to throw at you guys. Thank you so much for hanging in with me. As I said at the start of the stream, I've been kind of working with people before I did a live stream on Lightburn. I feel my brain is a little Lightburn frazzled, but we got there at the end. I hope that was some help. There's a lot of stuff. I can't believe I missed the fact that I was dealing with an image. I kind of feel embarrassed. But Mike, you said you missed that a few times too. I'm telling you. You know what? It's all about practice. And you know what? Sometimes you think a little bit ahead. And I'm sure everyone has that issue from time to time. But I'm kind of like catching my breath here a little bit. It really is kind of an interesting one. Hey, Martin's here. Martin, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. I hope everything's good. It's been a while since you've been able on. Martin says support height is also important. Let's go into the chat. Because if you get it wrong, the laser head can crash into the material and damage the machine. Don't ask how I know. You got that. It's a really good point. I wanted to wrap it up because we were going a little long today. But yes, absolutely. You want to make sure that your support height is at the right setting. Otherwise, you can crash your laser head in there. Even though there is a little bit of give given the fact that you've got the silicon hood on there. But you don't want to do that too much. Air assist cone for the win. I hear you on that as well. Absolutely. Dominic said during that as well, click on air support for speed, air assist speed. And the library for Darkly is a great place to start. Absolutely. If you've got an Emblaser, definitely use the settings that are given by the Darkly Lab settings because they've been tested. Of course, if you get your material from different places, not all materials are made and created equally. So it's a great place to start. You might have to tweak them just slightly. I know that when I've cut MDF from, let's say, Bunnings, I've always got to go in there and do a few test cuts. So it's really cool to be able to start at a place where you know you will get some sort of result. And Dominic actually earlier said, and I didn't see it because I was going through all of that Lightburn kind of mental dump, but perforation mode is great for making clean folds in paper. I haven't done that, but you know what I've got? A friend of mine designed like a paper robot based on a toy line from the 70s that I used to have. And I've been meaning to actually use the print and cut to make one of these paper robot models. So my goal for next week is to actually have it on the desk so that I can actually share it with all of you, and actually maybe even go through part of that process in a future live stream. Look, I know that that was a lot of information. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you got something out of it. And if you have, please let me know. Again, you can always thumbs up, or you can comment in the chat room below. Or if you really, really love it, nice setup, nice live stream. Thank you, Silver Stacker. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you saying that. You know, this is definitely a passion of mine. And you know what? As I say every live stream, if you get something out of it and you want to support the live stream directly, there is a link below that allows you to kind of, give a one-off donation. Those donations go into buying materials and working with the Emblaser so that I can share more knowledge with you guys. So if you want to do that, that's absolutely something you can do. I gotta take a break. I gotta take a breath. Forget a break. I gotta take a breath, man. Wow. I had all my points and I was like, this is not gonna go over an hour. I just like to make sure that I'm very clear. I hope you guys enjoy that. I use the tab functions a lot when cutting using mag clips to stop material dropping. Excellent, man. I've used that too with the mag clips, and I find that it's a great way. I like the fact that even on beginner mode, you have those tabs in there. As I said, I was working with some people today, and I was showing them how to use the tabs so that when they pull the material out, it's not all falling out. It really, I guess it's up to you whether you want to use them or not. But yes, tab function is amazing if you're cutting material and it's right, there isn't anything supporting it, so it doesn't just drop all the way through. All right. Whew. I actually really enjoyed that. I mean, we're going to still be going into Lightburn. We're probably not going to go as heavily into it. We'll probably make them a lot smaller from now on. But now you have the basis to be able to go and actually dive deep into Lightburn, so it's pretty amazing. Guys, if you're interested in this or you're working on something one-on-one and you're looking for one-on-one tuition, one of the things that I do offer now is virtual classes or one-on-one sessions either on Zoom or Skype or whatever you want to use. If you're interested, drop me a line at laserlivestream.gmail.com, and also let me know that you are someone who watches the Laser live stream. I've got a special rate for everyone who's in here, and I really do appreciate it. I actually did a couple of sessions this week with some people, and it's just amazing to see what they're making. Again, really, really inspirational. I'm going to try and get them to come on and talk about their project. I'm not 100% there. I think people get a little bit scared, but you know what? I think it's time that we get probably Dominic from Darkly back on to talk about some of the things that he's doing. And I also love, if you're out there and you're making things, I want to talk to you about your personal journey with the Emblaser or laser cutting or even maker technology, because we inspire others by sharing the journey that we're on. And I think that's really, really important. I wouldn't be able to do these live streams at all if it wasn't for the support that I get from Darkly Labs and Lightburn. I talked about them before. Go check them out. They've got their links there. The links are below. If you've got an Emblaser, or if you want to hear any new news, if you want to go and look into the supports, maybe do a little bit more training based off of what you're learning here, definitely check out the Darkly Labs website. Same thing with Lightburn. We're going to go into that sort of stuff a little bit further, but both Lightburn and Darkly Labs, they have made it possible for me to continue doing this, and I am incredibly grateful. The other thing that I want to say is I hope everyone out there is safe and having an amazing time using their lasers to create things. You know what? I always say it, go out and make something incredible, because when you create that and you share it with the world, there's a new possibility that is built through that. So I'm gonna say good evening to all of you. I'm gonna take one big deep breath, and I'm gonna probably go and I'm not going to play with my Emblaser tonight. I think I've got a little bit of overload. But thank you so much for being here. We're going to be here in 2 weeks' time. If you've got an Emblaser with a camera, definitely come out here. We're going to go through all the setup. I might even see if I can get Dom on to have a quick chat with us. I know that we've got some projects coming up, which I'm really, really looking forward to. Guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through Lightburn and your laser cutter experience. My name is Gil Posnanski. This is the Laser Lightburn, and I will see all of you in 2 weeks' time. Have a fantastic, fantastic evening, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Remember to go into the Facebook group and please share with me what you create. I'll see you next time.